Mr. Kirk Prozik. Today we are examining the subject of the inevitable. And by that I mean we're all going to die. So today my question is, Kirk, you just found out you have 6 months to live. How are you going to spend that? What are you going to do?
Well, it's a hard question to answer. I mean, it's like I think I was asked a similar question like this some other time in an interview that we did. And, I don't know. I guess I would try to balance it between the two, but it would be a mix between either just going for it and doing every single possible thing that you might desire to do within the capacity that you can manage to do it in the time that you have, or it would be sort of sinking down a little lower in of course trying to do some things, but also finding more enjoyment within just the mundane, simple things that you might be doing anyways, like be a bit more spiritually infused with a gratefulness or with a presence and a enjoyment of just everyday things that a lot of times we take for granted. But I do think of this not in the exact capacity that you worded it that way, but we guard our time, we guard our money and our property and our attributes and ego and all that kind of stuff fiercely, but we so easily give away our time. And time is the only non-renewable resource that we have. Like the moments that have passed are owned by death. They belong to death. You can never get those moments back. So I think in anything that you're doing, you should, and I mean, you don't have to, you're not going to have a good life if you're too strict with this either, but you just have to keep in the back of your mind, like, is this something that matters to me enough that if I were to die, I would still be happy I did it? Am I afraid to die because I won't be able to do this anymore? Are these people that I care about enough that I'm willing to purchase time of my life that is now owned by death for these people? And so if you think along those lines, then you make the better decisions on what you're going to do, but you also gear towards people that you actually like. We're all guilty of just like hanging out with useless people, and I mean, I don't mean that in an offensive way, but like people that don't really matter or doing things that don't really matter. But if we're human beings, we can do that sometimes, and that's okay. Like I said, you're not going to have a good life if you're too strict about it. But if you just keep it in the back of your mind that, the person, the people, the things that I'm going to do today are things that I'm willing to purchase time out of my life to do, and people to be around, and that I would miss doing this kind of a thing if I were to be dead. Like, if I were to find out I'm going to die. Like, I love coming to the art gallery, I love spending time with all you people, therefore the time that passes when I'm here that's now owned by death, I don't regret that time. It's not time wasted to me. The people here and the things we do is important enough to me that I'm willing to purchase some time of it with parts of my life. And pretty much all the people that I communicate with and I spend time with are people that I'm willing to purchase time out of my life for. And for the most part, they are also people and things and activity that if I were to find out that I am going to die in 6 months or tomorrow or whatever, I would miss. I would be afraid to die because I wouldn't be able to do these sorts of things. I wouldn't be able to see and talk to these sorts of people. And I think it's just good to have that in your mind. I mean, I know that's a little bit of a rant after just a one-off kind of a question, but I do think deeply on the matter for sure.
It's a good rant. Why do you think there is so much denial around death?
I don't even know if it's so much denial, it's more fear, I guess, and people just don't want to look into it or think about it, which is understandable. I mean, nobody really does. I mean, I don't, like, even gurus and stuff like that, like, they're afraid too. I don't care how much faith they have in any sort of afterlife or any sort of reincarnation or spiritual awakening that comes with death. I mean, it's natural. Everybody and everything is afraid of it to some degree. It wouldn't be such a deep, impactful thing if they weren't. So I think it's not so much deniability. It's kind of something that you can't deny, even if you wanted to. It's more fear, I think.
So then, with that in mind, what is death?
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. I mean, you're not breathing, you're not here. Well, your body's here, but you aren't any longer. Your body's decomposing and turning into dirt and dust or burnt ash, whatever your preferred method of going about it that way is. But what's after that, or the lack thereof, or why it happens, I don't know. I guess it's just like, why does a battery die in a camera, for that matter? I mean, the handy thing is you can recharge it and it comes back to life, but maybe that's the same with human beings. You might just come back looking like a different person, but it's still you, just like a battery in a camera being recharged again, but we don't know, right? But there's a chance that that's not the case. But yeah, anything that functions dies. All food has an expiry date. The battery in anything electronic dies, whether you can recharge it again or not, or change it or whatever, it still dies. Most things, even a coffee machine, you might even get 20 years out of it if it's a good one, but it'll still die at some point, right? You have to get another one. The door handle on the door, it might last 40 years if it's a good one, but it'll still break when someone sometime down the road tries to open it, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
You know, I see a lot of sadness around death. I've experienced this, I'm sure you have as well, and it's probably very common in our world. I'm wondering, what is the best way to support somebody when they're either about to die, or maybe the people that are left behind after that death? How do we support them?
Well, that's a bit complicated, I think, because it all depends on the person. But I think that, well, if it's somebody that's dying, I really don't know. I think you just try your best to let them know that you're there, I guess, right? And that they reassure them that what they did and while they were here was worth their time and will hopefully impact people, right? And as for the aftermath for other people, I always took the route of and I've done this before with different friends of mine and that have been going through things like this, and I sort of try to give them something to look forward to, like give them something to be be fascinated with again. Like a lot of times I take somebody like that and I say, like, let's collaborate on making and again, this isn't going to be about death or about anything depressing or whatever, but like let's collaborate on making a little documentary or video, even if you don't want to be on camera or whatever. Just stay behind the camera and just help me come up with some sort of story or something like that. Like, let's get out into nature, let's go do a documentary on a hiking trail or something like that, or on some sort of piece of wildlife or something like that, or let's go to the art gallery and look at some art or whatever. Like, try to sort of get them fascinated, or even show them documentaries or films or something that sort of invigorates that zest for life, like something that might fascinate them, something that's like, oh wow, like, there's cool things that you can do while you're alive here in the world. And I find that it helps me. And so, I mean, different things help different people. It's not set in stone, but I've done that with different friends of mine before, and it really seems to it really seems to work. I mean, even look at, I mean, you knew Joe, right? Joe Sanderson, he's been on the YouTube channel before. He was dying, and when we were going around making documentaries and doing this, that, and the other, you know, it still didn't save him in the end, but he had a few breakthroughs of being sort of not as jaded as he was before, and being sort of fascinated with different things that you can do in the world or in a town or outside. You know what I mean, right? So I think that's my approach to it anyway.
Okay, well, I think we'll leave it at that for right now. We'll bring this to a conclusion, a natural death, so to speak.
Okay. Well, why would you speak into it a little bit before we cut it off here? What's your take or your criticism or your what do you like and dislike about what I'm saying?
All that comes to my mind right now is how life is grace. You know, we're here in some sense. And so many miracles are around us, and I think you know, this grace is really an unfoldment of unconditional love, and you know, death is, I think, a part of life, as we've often sort of rationalized, and I think that we're always looking for understanding, we're looking for insights, and we're always looking at the best way that we can support others who are struggling with that. And I think your empathy and compassion and walking with those has been very much in evidence over many, many years of knowing you, and may we all just follow that example as you have.
Well, thank you, Peter, and the same goes to you. Yeah, that's about wraps it up, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Peace out.